Each week on this show, my aim is always to publish a piece of original content that provides some kind of real value, some real usefulness for e-commerce brand owners in the moment. And to that end, I spend quite a lot of my time immersed in, what's happening in the wider macro business environment, as well as the more micro internal, what's working inside businesses and marketing platforms right now, and of course, what's not working right now. And, there's no escaping the fact that in this moment, the wider economy, and it's not just in Australia, I think it's everywhere at the moment, is, it's pretty challenging at the moment. And it does make things very different and, more difficult for a lot of small businesses to sustain, let alone thrive and grow. And in producing this episode, I kind of went a little bit overboard a bit, and the episode ended up twice as long as usual. And I felt that probably most of you don't have that much time to dedicate to listening to one episode, let alone to be able to focus and take it all in for that long. So what we decided to do is split it up into a two-part series, and thankfully the content of this episode actually lends itself nicely to that. And so in the first part, I'm going to be digging into some of the issues and mistakes that e-commerce brands are making that are kind of hurting their results or hindering their ability to grow right now. And I'm also going to be going a little bit into depth on one of the most critical things that you really do need to be working on right now to be able to thrive in the current economic climate. And then next week, we'll back that up with part two, where I'll be going into some specific business or marketing strategies that will really help you to boost your sales results and get your business back on track to growth. Both of these are going to be like mini trainings, so there will be some actionable advice that you can take from each of them. But for now, let's dig into part one of what to do and avoid doing to boost e-commerce growth right now. Well, hey there, listeners. Welcome to the Scale My Shopify Store podcast. I'm your host, Kath Langman. Now, do you remember how it felt at the start of your business journey? Do you remember, feeling excited, motivated, energized, ambitious, optimistic, like, you could absolutely conquer the world? You've probably had visions of really what you wanted to create and who you wanted to serve and do business with, and all of those really good, fun, exciting things. And you know how it goes, where after a little while you are a bit, further down your business journey and you start to think, what the F was I thinking? I can't do this. I'm exhausted. I have absolutely no idea what to do next. I can't possibly work any harder than this. And, that sort of awful feeling of despair that, starts to kick in, that we might never achieve our goals because things get really difficult, or unexpected challenges come along, and it's so easy to lose faith that things will ever change for the better. And we start to believe that our current reality is our forever reality. So let me ask you, do either of the following two questions or statements resonate with you right now? I'm getting traffic to my online store, but I'm not generating enough sales. What am I doing wrong? Or I'm stuck at the same revenue and I can't seem to bust through to the next level. And is that even possible in today's environment? So I'm hearing lots of these and very similar sentiments from brand owners lately. I'm hearing it, and I'm just seeing it a lot in groups and online all over the place. And, for sure, whilst our current economic climate is definitely impacting most businesses right now, fact is that the amount of money and the way consumers spend it is definitely different. But it really is important not to use that as an excuse, or to assume that because that's what we're seeing a lot in the media, that it means nobody's buying at all and it's all hopeless and it's never going to change. Because people are still spending money, and in fact, e-commerce retail transactions are actually on track to increase from 5.8 trillion in 2023 to 6.3 trillion this year in 2024, which is an increase of nearly 9% year on year. So if your sales are languishing or they're just not growing to achieve your sales targets, then you definitely need to stop doing some things that aren't working the same way that they used to and start doing some things differently so that you can match your customers to where they are right now. So, let's go through some of the current trends in e-commerce, as well as some of the common mistakes that I see e-commerce brands making a lot at the moment, and how these things might be impacting your business. And then we're going to have a little bit of a chat about some of the things that you can and should be doing to try and overcome these challenges. So some current trends and stats. Number one is that consumers are spending less, but they're spending more often. So according to Australia Post's recent State of the Retail report, and I've eyeballed some similar reports from overseas markets as well, consumers are choosing to make smaller but more frequent purchases. And at the moment, our average basket size is just under $100, so $98.10 in Australian dollars. And this is slightly down by 4.6% from last year. Secondly, consumers are still purchasing online. So, obviously they're purchasing in different ways. They're spending less per transaction, they're spending more frequently, but they're still purchasing online. And even though growth in online shopping seems to have slowed after the pandemic, e-commerce continues to hold a significant proportion of total retail spending, generating nearly 17% of total retail spending in Australia. So the new normal, basically online shopping has firmly established itself as the new normal and an integral part of the retail fabric. E-commerce adoption is expected to continue to rise steadily year on year. And by 2027, experts are predicting it'll total over $7.9 trillion. So despite the fact that things are certainly different right now and there are new challenges that we're dealing with in business at the moment, it's still a really great time to be in e-commerce, as the market doesn't show signs of actually going backwards in this kind of a business model. In fact, it's still growing, right? So it showcases just how important it is if you're considering jumping into e-commerce or you're in it, now is the time to really, get into it and get, focused on growing this kind of a business model, because the earlier you buy in before this kind of a business model really, really matures, the more money that your company stands to make over time. So, despite all of the doom and gloom that we keep hearing about the economy, and despite the fact that all of us are having to navigate cost of living pressures, and despite the fact that our customers may not be responding to your marketing efforts and spending money with you in the same way that they used to, I mean, despite all of those things, which are all real, right? Consumers are still spending money. And they are just making the decisions differently than they used to, and they're reacting to inputs like your marketing differently than they used to. So it is completely understandable if you do feel anxious right now, but it's also really important to remember that every challenge brings a new opportunity for growth if you do take the right next actions. So let's go into some of the common mistakes that e-commerce brands are making. And this for sure is not an exhaustive list at all, but certainly these are some top ones for me. And first is, customers. The first mistake that e-commerce brands that I want to mention here, of course, is that their customers don't know, or your customers may not just know how or why to buy from you. So for example, navigation can be really difficult, or the website might be slow or clunky, or the product value is just not clear or differentiated enough from competition. there's a variety of reasons why these things can happen in your business. Oftentimes, as business owners, we're super familiar with our own website and our own products, and it's very easy to forget. I mean, this happens to me still. Like, it's very easy to forget when we know where to find things that maybe our customers don't. But it could also be coming down to making a poor choice in website platform that's just not really well equipped for e-commerce. Certainly bad navigation and visual design. And so, website is just really lacking in clarity. It's not tailored to the brand. It's, too similar to other offerings. Maybe it's not, got poor images or just not relevant to the ideal customer. The whole navigation issue is a massive one. I recently recorded a podcast interview with one of my amazing team members, Karen, all about how to design your website navigation to increase conversions. And as of today, I think that episode still is standing as one of our most listened to episodes of all time. So if you haven't listened to it yet and you know that your website could be improved, definitely give that one a listen. You can find it at catherinelangman.com/episode 214 for 214. Any links mentioned in the show today, I'm going to make sure are published on the show notes page for this episode. So super easy for you to go and find them. But just one final note on, the website being difficult to shop from. Actually, I might share two other observations just from clients that I've been working with in the last week, even 2 weeks, where, and this is so common. So these two things are so common. Number one, this morning we just presented the almost ready to go live version of a redesigned, revamped website to a client who literally burst into tears because of happiness. She was just so blown away at, how improved this looks and how much better it looks than the existing one, because their existing one, they've got so many products and people just cannot find them. Even people working in the business cannot find them because it's just so the navigation and the way the information architecture on the website is just so poor. And now it's ridiculously easy, and it's going to make such a difference for customers, new customers in particular. And when you think about it, we all have to be really working so much harder to acquire new customers. It's a lot easier to get repeat sales from happy existing customers. They know you and they know your stuff, but acquiring new customers is the really hard, tricky thing. And if people can't navigate your website and they can't find stuff, they just won't buy. They're not going to expend the extra brain calories to figure this out. They're going to jump off and go somewhere where it's, it's super simple and easy to figure out what they want and how to get it. But the second thing that is really, really common, and this is something that I've been doing a lot with clients and my team has as well, is brands going from ad to either homepage or a pretty generic looking collection page on their website, and then expecting customers to pretty much figure it out from there. And there's just no congruence between what they clicked on, the reason they clicked on the ad to the landing page that they're landing on. And again, it's just requiring customers to expend way too many brain calories to figure it out from there. They're just not going to do it. So if you're really noticing that your website conversion rate has dropped, or even before that, your website add to cart rate is pretty dismal, and you can see that you're not acquiring new customers to the same rate that maybe you were a year ago or 2 years ago, then, you've probably got some work to do here. Second mistake, again, that I'm seeing a lot, and this kind of ties in with that last example that I just shared, is just not marketing effectively. Spending, whether it's spending all your money on stock and getting the business up and running and then not having anything left over to actually invest in marketing. I mean, that's a pretty unfortunately common scenario. Or relying too heavily on one platform for marketing, like putting all your eggs into one basket, so to speak. But, a super common one is not spending enough time or effort or investment in actually building up your brand awareness, building up an audience. Literally your brand remains the world's best kept secret in that regard. And so, of course, your call to conversion ads aren't going to convert if nobody is warmed up to you yet. Or, hopefully you're not falling victim to the age-old belief that, or perception that if you build it, they will come, because it's just not the way that online commerce works at all anymore. Probably more commonly, though, when it comes to brands not marketing effectively, is that they're not differentiating their brand or setting their business apart from their competitors. And they're making it extremely difficult for customers to work out why they should buy from you versus the next person. I mean, you have to realize that, given the way that the economy is right now, and the cost of living at the moment, when people are spending their money, it's a considered decision more than in the past. And so, we can't expect them to just know that our products are better than the next brand, right? We have to be able to communicate really, really effectively. But then, super common, even now, we're at a point in time where digital marketing has actually been around for a really long time now, but there's still so many brands that have not systemized their traffic and sales generating activities. They've not figured out how to attract and convert customers consistently. They're relying too heavily on constantly hustling, the free plus effort hustle in Facebook groups and on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. And there's absolutely room for that, but don't just rely on that, because then you'll remain like the dancing bear in the circus, who's always, having to dance on the ball to keep it spinning. Otherwise he falls flat on its face. You don't want that. That's not a consistent business, and it's certainly not a recipe for, feeling confident about your business future. So the constant hustle, but also the discount offers. And again, yes, we need to be doing some of that, but not to the exclusion of actually, sharing your story, not to the exclusion of actually, sharing and communicating the value that your products and your brand bring to your customers, and giving them all the other really good, valuable reasons why they want to buy from you, right? And right now, too many businesses are cutting all marketing and advertising spend in an effort to cut costs and run a leaner business during this kind of economic downturn. Or they are really pulling it back, but they're keeping the same strategy and the same kind of campaign type and setup for that leaner spend, and still expecting it to convert. And unfortunately, this always backfires. You will end up not being able to acquire new customers, and instead you're going to end up relying on your existing customers, which is really great until you end up burning out your list. And they reach the end of their lifetime as a customer of yours. And when that happens, your business will drop off a cliff. I can guarantee it. So the other day, I actually published a blog post called How to Win at Digital Marketing for Your E-commerce Store. And I know that this is going to be one that I actually update at least on an annual basis, because, certainly things in digital marketing and e-commerce generally change all the time, particularly when it comes to what is effective communication and marketing for this kind of a business model. It changes because platforms change, creative trends change, so many new and different things, right? So I'm going to link to that that blog in the show notes, because there's it's a chunky one. It's broken up, super easy to read, don't worry. But there's a lot of useful content in that. You can find it if you want to write this down, katherinelangman.com/how to win at digital marketing for your e-commerce store, a dash between each word. Don't worry, I'll link to it on the podcast show notes. So go and give that one a read if you know that your marketing is really letting you down at the moment. And then the third big problem, lots of businesses are running into this at the moment. And honestly, I don't think any business is immune from this entirely. And that's cash flow problems, whether it's from not managing your money or not managing your inventory, not reordering inventory in time, and therefore running out of stock to sell. Taking too much money out of the business, not setting aside funds to cover for stock or tax purposes or other obligations. Maybe the profit margins are too slim, and therefore not sustainable as a business, or, you're spending too much when you are acquiring a customer. Sometimes that can happen from really low ad budgets. If you've got the wrong kind of strategy for your ads, you end up spending too much to acquire a customer and then you have no profit margin left over. Certainly, if cash flow is one of your biggest problems right now in your business, you definitely want to listen to my past podcast episode called How to Become a Cash Flow Queen. That one is episode 165. Again, I shall link to that from this podcast show notes. So these are, again, it's not an exhaustive list of errors, but they're all fixable. Everything is figure outable if you take the time to learn, and they're fixable if you put the right effort and strategies in place. So that being the case, how can you get ahead and thrive in 2024? What strategies do you need to be implementing to enable you to grow your business and thrive this year and beyond, and to avoid becoming one of those statistics of small businesses that don't make it? And the first thing that I have to reach for here is mindset, and keeping a strong, positive mindset, because before anything else, it's absolutely critical that you maintain your positive mindset. Of course, there's plenty of things to worry about right now, personally and in business. But, certainly if we can avoid putting anything else on that pile, we should. In fact, this morning, again, having another conversation with a client, and talking about, how the fact is that every single successful business owner has tough, challenging times, and they reframe that in a different way than the people who don't have that kind of strong, positive mindset. It's not to say that all of those successful entrepreneurs naturally do that. It's often a learned thing and a habit. There's a lot of, habits that you can adopt and practices that you can adopt that will help you maintain and cultivate a really strong, positive mindset. But, while your focus is on keeping the business running as best as possible, if you are prone to catastrophizing things, it is so easy to get distracted and overwhelmed by, for example, the endless media focus on the cost of living, or frankly, just, our daily experience of that in our personal lives, right? So it is okay to be scared. Most of us are, but at times like this, we need to take steps to cultivate that stamina and, the positive framing of things so that we can keep moving forwards, and just know and accept that everybody has challenging times in their business journey. It doesn't matter how much, wealth they come into life with or into business with. That's not a fix it all solution either. And the most important thing, in my view, is accepting that there are a lot of things that are out of our control, and reaching a point of acceptance here is pretty crucial, because the more we get angry or anxious or anxious over what we can't control, the harder everything will be. Rather than expend precious energy and emotion off you can't control, focus on what you can do. There are some super practical things that you can do inside of your business, which I'll get to next in this episode. But there are a few things that I also highly recommend that you do outside of your business, and the things that I do to help me stay calm and maintain a positive mindset. Like the airline safety messages always say, you must fit your own mask first before helping others. And, it's absolutely essential that we do take those steps to look after ourselves. Otherwise, we're no help to our families and friends, or our customers, or our suppliers, or our team in business, right? So the first, of course, is to be proactive about keeping a positive mindset. And I've recorded several podcast episodes over the years about mindset, including interviews with my amazing mindset coach. But one of the more recent ones that I think is worth listening to, if you haven't already, is called How to Bust Past Fears and Build a Thriving Online Superstore, which is episode 198. Again, I'll link to it if you want to go to it. It's katherinelangman.com/episode-189. Number 2, set yourself a routine for work. I know I am kind of like a routine oriented person, but that's mainly out of laziness. I don't like to have to keep figuring the same thing out over and over again. If I can figure something out and once and then almost automatize it, then I don't have to keep thinking and expending brain power on stuff, right? So, and I guess for me, as someone who has worked from home for a really, really long time now, this is something that I think I've perfected it over time. Look, I'm sure that there's always room for improvement, but I do set work hours, and when it's time for work, I literally dress myself as though I'm going to work, including a little bit of effort into hair and makeup, which I think, I realize that seems a little bit ludicrous when you work from home, but what I've learned from experience is that if you feel like you're going to work and you feel professional, and then that's how you show up with your energy and your focus and your effort that you put in. And it helps me. It helps put me in the right frame of mind to be focused and productive and to give my best efforts for my clients and my customers and my team. Number 3, take care of your physical health as well with regular exercise and healthy meals. Now, I know when things get stressful, it's tempting to exist off chocolate and gin, but whilst that might help you feel, help make everything feel a little bit better in the short term, it's really not a great recipe for the long term. So give yourself the best chance of staying healthy and having the energy to keep productive. Plus making time for regular exercise is another way of creating a little bit of a routine. And with a solid routine in place, it'll really help you to feel like you have some control and power over your situation. But also when you have energy and you have literally regular exercise practice, whether it doesn't matter whether it's in the morning or the evening, but it helps the positive endorphins in your body. It helps give you the energy and motivation to be productive during the day, and all of that kind of stuff helps you to make better decisions as well. Number 4, adopt some daily activities that help you to maintain your positive mindset. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail here because, again, you can go and listen to all my past episodes. But in short, you want to do things like, so for me, what it is daily meditation, visualization, journaling practice. And then in addition to that, other things that I enjoy, because at the end of the day, if you can have some joy in your everyday, which, I'm not talking about big sweeping activities or grand, gestures here. I'm talking about just the little things that bring you joy. So for me, it's, my morning coffee. I only drink one caffeinated coffee a day these days, but, I've got my favorite chair that I can look out into the garden and sit and just drink my coffee in peace with nobody interrupting me in the morning. I don't have little kids, of course, although my puppy likes to interrupt me. And then in the evening, I, have some things that I do just with my daughter generally at the moment. Boys are a little bit older now, but just having those moments of joy in your day, again, it just brings a different kind of energy and motivation and positivity to the rest of your day at work. And that's going to help you, be more productive, make smarter decisions, and progress better as well. All right, so a few ideas there to help you with maintaining a positive mindset that will absolutely help you in your business endeavors. But let's also talk about some practical strategies that you can implement to help you grow your business. All right, so that brings us to the end of part 1 of what to do and avoid doing to boost your e-commerce sales at the moment. And I know I'm a little bit mean leaving you to wait for the actionable business and marketing strategies next week, but I really want to encourage you to think about and work on what I've shared today before we dig into the next part, because I can guarantee you will end up with a much more favorable result. But before we finish up today, though, I really want to remind you as well about our current offer of a free brand growth plan. So when you book in for a strategy session with us, We'll actually complete an audit and analysis of your current performance and prepare a personalized brand growth plan to help you achieve your 12-month goals. This piece of work is actually valued at about $1,000, and we do this for free. We will do this for free before you even decide whether you're going to work with us or not. So if you want to see whether you qualify for that, all you need to do is head to productpreneurmarketing.com and head to the Let's Chat link in the top menu. And you can book that session in for free today. We will, of course, link to that in the show notes as well. So looking forward to having a chat with some of you and, of course, to being back in your ears next week with some actionable strategies for your business and marketing. Till then, I'll catch you later.